Finally tonight here, our Made in America is back, and so is a longtime summer tradition, hitting the open road.
Total RV shipments in May were the biggest on record, up 11.8% year over year.
In May 2025, the RV industry celebrated an unexpected milestone. Shipments jumped 11.8% from the previous year, but that success quickly turned into disaster. Within months, nearly 3 million barely used RVs flooded dealership lots, auctions, and storage fields across America. What once symbolized freedom and adventure now represents financial crisis. The problem? Years of overproduction fueled by easy credit and unchecked optimism. The numbers tell a brutal story. Auction volumes have doubled since late 2024. RVs that once commanded premium prices now sell for 40 to 50% below their original sticker price. Dealers are desperate to clear inventory before interest payments crush them. Lenders, spooked by mounting losses, are slashing credit lines. The human cost is equally stark. Entire communities in Indiana and Texas that built their economies around RV manufacturing and sales now depend on liquidation events just to survive. Workers face layoffs. Small businesses are closing. This isn't a typical market correction. It's the worst downturn in RV industry history. The collapse is erasing profit margins faster than dealers can adapt. What looked like unstoppable demand was actually a bubble inflated by speculation and loose financing. The lesson is harsh but clear. Rapid growth without sustainable demand creates oversupply catastrophes. The chrome-shining rigs sitting unsold in fields nationwide aren't just excess inventory. They're monuments to an industry that mistook a temporary surge for permanent prosperity. The roots of today's RV crisis stretch back to 2020 to 2021. When lockdowns trapped Americans at home, stimulus checks and near-zero interest rates offered an escape. Freedom on wheels. RV shipments exploded past 600,000 units annually, shattering every record in industry history. Families convinced themselves that life on wheels was recession-proof. They took out loans, sometimes for 10 years or more, betting on permanent lifestyle changes. Manufacturers responded by adding production shifts. Dealers borrowed heavily through floor plan loans to stock inventory. Suppliers expanded capacity to meet seemingly endless demand. Then reality hit hard. Gas prices surged to $5 per gallon. The Federal Reserve jacked interest rates above 7% to fight inflation. Suddenly, those floating rate RV loans doubled in monthly cost. Families who stretched their budgets in 2021 found themselves underwater, owing far more than their rigs were worth. The depreciation was brutal. An RV purchased for $90,000 in 2021 might sell for barely $55,000 today. Storage yards filled with idle campers as owners simply walked away from loans they couldn't afford. What the industry mistook for a permanent shift in American lifestyle was actually a pandemic-fueled anomaly. Manufacturers built infrastructure for endless growth. Instead, they're facing a massive glut that experts say could take 3 to 5 years to absorb. The post-pandemic boom has become a collective financial hangover, and the industry is still reeling from the binge. Behind every gleaming RV showroom lies an invisible financial lifeline: floor plan credit. These revolving loans allow dealers to stock inventory, with the balance cleared when each unit sells. During the boom years, this system worked beautifully. Banks lent at 2 to 3% interest, and RVs moved off lots within days. Today, that system is strangling the industry. Interest rates now hover near 10%. Every unsold RV bleeds cash daily. A dealer holding 100 units worth $8 million can owe over $60,000 per month just in financing charges, before paying rent, utilities, or staff. The death spiral accelerates when lenders recalculate collateral values. As auction prices plummet, banks slash credit lines, demanding immediate cash injections most small dealers simply don't have. Desperate owners turn to high-interest bridge loans, trading long-term solvency for short-term survival. The consequences ripple fast. Declining RV values trigger tighter lending, which forces inventory liquidations, which further crushes prices. Layoffs spread through showrooms. Service departments close. Some dealers who thrived for decades collapse in weeks. The cruel irony? During downturns, credit kills faster than competition. A dealer can have loyal customers, experienced staff, and prime location. But without floor plan financing, inventory evaporates and doors close overnight. What was once the engine powering dealership growth has become a tightening noose. When the credit dries up, even the strongest players can't survive. Walk into any regional RV auction today, and you'll feel optimism drain away under harsh fluorescent lights. Endless rows of 2022 and 2023 models line the concrete lanes, many with under 2,000 miles on the odometer. These are essentially new vehicles being sacrificed at fire sale prices. The numbers are staggering. Units that commanded $70,000 last summer now struggle to reach $45,000. Reserve prices, the minimum sellers will accept, crumble by the hour. Clearance rates that once hovered near 90% have collapsed below 70%. More than a quarter of RVs now leave auctions unsold. But here's the twist. Dealers aren't coming to buy anymore. They're coming to liquidate. They're unloading inventory just to make next month's interest payments, swapping one financial problem for another. Industry analysts call auctions the market's truth serum. They expose what corporate press releases carefully hide. When lenders demand cash, brand reputation and customer loyalty become irrelevant. Across the Midwest and South, weekly auction volumes have doubled since 2023, transforming these events into financial triage centers. Each auctioneer's hammer strike announces another loss. Each failed bid marks another casualty. The applause after sales rings hollow. Everyone knows the seller is taking a beating. The auction floor has become the industry's pulse monitor, and the heartbeat is weak. The fundamental equation is brutally simple. Supply now dwarfs demand by an enormous margin. In the end, reality always defeats reputation. The downturn started quietly along suburban highway corridors where RV dealerships cluster. Rising rents, advertising costs, and payrolls collided with vanishing foot traffic. Families facing their own rent increases and $4+ gasoline stopped making discretionary purchases. RVs, already expensive luxuries, became unthinkable. Urban dealers panicked. They slashed prices by 10%, then 20%. Nothing worked. By early 2025, many metro showrooms resembled graveyards, rows of unsold rigs gathering dust beneath aging promotional banners. Rural America held out longer. In small towns across Idaho, Montana, and Oklahoma, RVs aren't just toys, they're practical tools. They represent independence, weekend escapes, and family traditions. Dealerships in these areas initially weathered the storm. Then lenders changed the rules. Credit standards tightened dramatically. Minimum FICO scores jumped to 720. Loan-to-value ratios shrank, requiring larger down payments. Suddenly, even loyal rural customers with steady jobs couldn't qualify for financing. The demand that seemed recession-proof evaporated overnight. What began as an urban slump spread like a contagion. Counties that hadn't seen dealership closures since the 2008 recession are now watching showrooms shutter. Local economies built around RV sales, service departments, and nearby campgrounds are shrinking in lockstep. The collapse has become geographic destiny. It radiated outward from metro centers, following highways and credit lines until every small town feels the chill. From Phoenix suburbs to Montana crossroads, the story is the same. Empty lots, laid-off workers, and communities wondering what comes next when the wheels stop rolling. Northern Indiana once built more than 80% of America's RVs. Towns like Elkhart, Goshen, and Middlebury were the industry's beating heart. Assembly plants running triple shifts, workers flooding in before dawn, paychecks supporting entire communities. Today, that heartbeat has weakened to a whisper. Assembly plants now operate at half capacity, when they operate at all. Temporary closure signs hang on darkened facilities. WARN notices announcing mass layoffs arrive monthly, listing hundreds of workers at a time. Suppliers who provided cabinetry, windows, and axles report orders down 60% year over year. Some have already shuttered permanently. The devastation ripples outward in widening circles. Cafes that served factory breakfasts now close early, or don't open at all. Fuel stations that once filled worker vans sit eerily empty during morning hours. Local contractors who built homes for RV workers have no projects left. Property values in once booming subdivisions are sliding as unemployment climbs past 8% in some counties. Families who bought homes expecting stable factory jobs now face foreclosure. Schools brace for funding cuts as tax revenues evaporate. The silence inside those massive shuttered assembly bays echoes through the entire national supply chain. When Indiana stops building, suppliers from California to Florida feel the shock. Component manufacturers, logistics companies, and finishing shops all lose business simultaneously. This isn't merely a cyclical production slowdown that will bounce back next quarter. It's a structural reset erasing decades of local prosperity, transforming America's RV capital into a cautionary tale about industries built on unsustainable booms. Behind the inventory glut and dealer closures lurks a quieter crisis, one that's rewriting who can own an RV in America. Lenders who once approved almost anyone with a paycheck have slammed their vaults shut. The average credit score needed for RV financing has surged from 670 to over 730, instantly locking millions of middle-income families out of the market. Those who do qualify face punishing new terms. Down payments have doubled from 10% to as high as 25%, and interest rates now hover between 9 and 12%, even for borrowers with solid credit. This has created a brutal financial caste system. Cash buyers, often investors or wealthy retirees, scoop up discounted units at auction. Meanwhile, working families who financed RVs during the pandemic watch helplessly from the sidelines, trapped by underwater loans and credit rules they can no longer meet. Every rejected loan application creates a ripple. Dealers starved of qualified buyers/staff and advertising budgets. Lenders, seeing weaker sales data, tighten credit standards even further. It becomes a self-reinforcing spiral. Fewer buyers mean fewer sales mean stricter lending, and stricter lending shrinks the market further. This silent credit freeze may prove more devastating than falling prices. At least price drops eventually attract buyers. But when financing disappears, the market itself vanishes. What was once the great American symbol of mobility and freedom is becoming a privilege reserved for the financially elite. A bitter reversal for an industry that built its identity on accessibility and democratic adventure. Repossessions have become the RV industry's fastest-growing business, and its darkest reality. As interest rates climbed and resale values plummeted, owners holding 10 or 15-year loans discovered a nightmare. They owed far more than their RVs were worth. Walking away became the only rational choice for thousands of families. In 2025 alone, banks initiated over 120,000 RV repossessions, a staggering 70% increase from the previous year. Each recovered unit immediately joins the auction glut, driving prices even lower and trapping more owners underwater. It's a vicious, self-feeding cycle. More repossessions flood the market with supply, which crushes values further, which triggers new waves of defaults. Lenders have responded by slamming the door shut. Loan officers rewrote policy manuals overnight, demanding massive down payments and near-perfect credit scores. Refinancing options, once common escape routes for struggling borrowers, have virtually disappeared. For those already in default, collection calls multiply until the tow truck finally arrives. Drive past storage lots in Florida or Arizona today, and you'll witness the aftermath. Endless rows of clean, late-model RVs sitting idle under the sun, awaiting new owners who may inherit hidden mechanical problems and unclear maintenance histories. What was marketed as the American dream of freedom and adventure has devolved into a nationwide liquidation cycle. Families who financed their futures to chase open roads now face ruined credit and lost down payments. The rigs remain, gleaming and empty, monuments to optimism that couldn't survive economic reality. Amid the flood of discounted RVs lurks a dangerous threat: the zombie RV. These are flood-damaged or storm-wrecked units that insurers declared total losses, only to be resurrected through tidal washing and cosmetic repairs. After hurricanes and hailstorms devastate RV storage facilities, unscrupulous dealers acquire totaled units cheaply. They apply fresh paint, replace visible fixtures, and manipulate paperwork across state lines to generate clean titles. The result looks pristine in photographs and gleams under showroom lights. But beneath that shiny exterior, catastrophe waits. Moisture trapped inside wall insulation breeds toxic black mold. Corroded electrical wiring hidden behind panels becomes a fire hazard. Compromised brake systems fail without warning. Frame damage weakens structural integrity. According to federal data, More than 15,000 salvaged RVs illegally re-entered commerce in 2024 alone. They sell for half of book value, a tempting discount that can prove deadly. Brake failures on highways, electrical fires in campgrounds, family vacations poisoned by toxic air quality. Protection requires vigilance, not blind trust. Verify the VIN through the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System. This federal database tracks salvage and flood titles across states. Demand a moisture meter inspection. Hidden water damage reveals itself through elevated readings in walls and floors. Never accept a clean title at face value. Request complete documentation history and service records. The cheapest deal on the lot can become a rolling health hazard within months. In today's desperate market, that bargain price dream rig might be a nightmare in disguise. Your family's safety is worth the extra diligence. In collapsing markets, emotion becomes the most expensive luxury. Every RV carries two price tags: the dealer's hopeful sticker and the cold, data-driven reality of what units actually sell for. Tools like JD Power, Black Book, and recent auction results reveal market truth. That 2022 fifth wheel listed at $60,000? It probably sold at auction last week for $38,500. The gap between fantasy and fact has never been wider. Smart buyers build spreadsheets, not dreams. Start with verified wholesale auction prices. Adjust for actual mileage, options, and visible condition. Then add 10% cushion for hidden repairs that always emerge. This arithmetic transforms wishful thinking into realistic foresight. Consider the cautionary tale. Consumers who bought emotionally during 2021's frenzy now face 30 to 40% equity losses. They financed feelings instead of facts. Understanding depreciation isn't pessimism, it's financial self-defense. When markets correct violently, mathematics becomes your only reliable compass. Dealer stories about holding value or limited availability collapse under scrutiny. Auction data doesn't lie. Recent sales comparables don't negotiate. In 2025's brutal landscape, two types of buyers exist: those who treat data as armor and those who chase nostalgia into debt. The former walk away from overpriced units without regret. The latter sign loan documents they'll regret for years. Informed arithmetic has replaced impulse as the currency of survival. Before you fall in love with Chrome and floor plans, fall in love with spreadsheets. Your financial future depends on it. In a credit-starved market, cash is king, but timing is the throne. Dealers drowning in floor plan debt will reward disciplined patience with discounts that seemed impossible just months ago. Two seasonal windows offer maximum leverage: late winter, January to March. Showrooms must slash floor plan debt before spring inventory arrives. Dealers are desperate for cash flow. Early autumn, September to October. Next year's models land, making current inventory instantly obsolete. Floor space becomes more valuable than profit margins. During these periods, discounts of 15 to 25% off retail prices are common, without aggressive haggling. Cash buyers hold enormous advantage, but only if they reveal it strategically. Announce you're paying cash too early, and negotiation ends. The dealer knows you're committed. Instead, let them assume you're financing, negotiate the lowest possible price, then unveil cash only at the contract stage. This gives you control of the entire transaction. For buyers requiring financing, dissecting contracts becomes critical. A seemingly small 2-point interest rate difference on a $70,000 loan adds over $7,000 in lifetime costs. Shop lenders independently before setting foot in a showroom. The best deals combine patience, exhaustive research, and strategic silence. Dealers fear informed customers because they can't manipulate them. They respect precise ones because arguing with data is futile. In a collapsing market, the calm, data-driven buyer isn't prey, they're the predator. While desperate sellers compete for your attention, you hold the ultimate weapon: the ability to walk away until the numbers make sense. Every collapse writes its own blueprint for rebirth. The RV industry is already sketching the outlines of recovery, but what emerges won't resemble what came before. Analysts predict the market could bottom out by mid-2026, but only if manufacturers restrain production and dealers stop flooding auctions. The survivors won't be the biggest dreamers, they'll be the most disciplined operators. Consolidation is already reshaping the landscape. Small, family-run dealerships that once anchored local economies are being absorbed by corporate giants like Camping World, Lazy Days, and General RV. These mega networks possess the credit access, marketing muscle, and cash reserves to endure years of volatility. A fragmented entrepreneurial industry is rapidly becoming an oligopoly of nationwide brands. Meanwhile, new ownership models are emerging. Subscription-based RV memberships, peer-to-peer rental platforms, and RV co-ops let travelers share costs rather than shoulder-crushing loans. The next generation values access over ownership, mirroring the shift that transformed the auto industry through ride-sharing. Manufacturers are pivoting too. Expect smaller, lighter, energy-efficient designs tailored for electric tow vehicles and high fuel costs. Solar integration, modular interiors, and robust off-grid capabilities will define the next wave of innovation. The post-crash reset won't restore the old RV dream, it will reinvent it entirely. What rises from these ashes will be leaner, smarter, and permanently transformed. The industry will be built not on pandemic-fueled hype and easy credit, but on hard-earned caution and sustainable business models. Freedom on wheels isn't dead, it's just getting rebuilt from the ground up. In the great RV collapse, not every vehicle is falling at the same speed. Understanding this hierarchy separates smart buyers from panicked ones. Class A motorhomes, those $250,000 luxury icons that once symbolized retirement dreams, have crashed hardest. They've lost up to 35% of resale value in a single season. Why? Sky-high fuel costs, expensive diesel maintenance, and the reality that fewer buyers can afford $800 monthly insurance premiums. Class C models are dropping around 20%, but remain family favorites. They're large enough for comfort, yet small enough for practical use. Their depreciation hurts, but it's survivable. Towables and pop-ups show the slowest decline, just 10 to 15%. They're easier to store, cheaper to tow, and don't require engine maintenance. In uncertain times, simplicity wins. This reveals a brutal market law. The higher the original sticker price, the harder the fall. Here's the trap many buyers miss. Luxury RVs that now seem affordable still carry luxury-level repair bills. You'll face $1,000 tires, $6,000 slide-out repairs, and $10,000 engine overhauls. That $150,000 Class A marked down to $95,000 still costs like a $150,000 rig to maintain. Meanwhile, smaller trailers retain their mechanical simplicity and resale stability. Durability now beats prestige. Understanding these depreciation curves transforms panic into opportunity. Knowing where the floor lies for each category means you can buy strategically, not desperately. Smart buyers will ride the eventual recovery. Desperate ones will be buried by maintenance costs they never anticipated. The RV industry didn't crash. It overdosed on cheap credit and blind optimism. Have you seen signs of recovery, or is the worst still ahead? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't miss our next video, where we uncover the hidden homeless crisis driving Americans into RVs. See you there.